Greetings, everyone. It's me, Rizzler. Welcome back to Patron. Now, in the last video, we did the dry place of the summit. We're going to do a different one this time. Now, full disclosure, this game is about to be updated, so this recording isn't necessarily going to be relevant uh, much longer. But the minute that update is done, I assure you that I will be right back at it with movable town centers and things like that. The update is going to address a few things. One of them being placeable town centers, so you can place them closer to resources. So what I'm going to do before that happens is I'm going to show you what a temperate climate looks like. So I'm going to go with the Twin Islands here. So we'll continue. We're going to keep all this. We'll start in March. We'll continue there. And so we'll load up the Twin Islands and we'll get to the Twin Islands here. So there's the welcome screen. So once again, let's pause and let's take a look at the Twin Islands. So you remember the summit, that the minerals far away. They're a bit closer here. As you can see the mountains right there. And there's ocean. Now the updates are going to allow you to manually place the townhouse, which is a town center technically. So you could place it, maybe closer to the water. You could place it closer to the mountains. One thing that I am looking forward to is maybe you could challenge yourself and place it maybe like somewhere around here where you're surrounded by trees, or maybe, in a different one, maybe like in the pine forest map, maybe even a denser forest. You could place it, and just to give yourself a challenge, or you could place it, in a place where there's not a lot of forest around to give yourself an extra challenge, anything. And I will be trying to do some, not like challenges that are necessarily like made in the game, but like challenges where I'll say, okay, let's try to go with it, like only this or only that, like only, and we did do a little bit of that in the last game since we were so far away from the mountains. I tried doing a thing where I was like, okay, let's see if we can trade for everything under the sun that we need. And so we tried to do that a little bit actually, and we made a little bit of progress. So let's get some houses out here. So we found the magic number last time. We found was and went out there. We found the magical number last time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was four houses, five houses. Sorry, six houses is where you start getting people who didn't necessarily need six. I think the sixth house was what was empty. So so we're gonna build. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're gonna build. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build upon that. See if I can get this house placed in here. Um, no, okay. So we'll rotate the house and we'll get it up there. And we'll get this and one back from there. And then, you know what, let's keep it going and let's put the house over there. And then let's put the depot. Um, production building is depot. Let's put the depot right here. Let's put a space in between it. And then we'll put the sawmill right next to it. Um, oh, the depot didn't go down. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so there's that. There. Okay, now let's do the sawmill. And let's do the gatherer's hut. Gather shelter. Mind you, let's see if we can put it. Let's put it over here. Let's see. What's the efficiency looking like over here? It's 53%, 58%. What if we put it over here? Yeah, this is where we're getting efficiency. Hmm. Let's put it right there. Actually, let's put it right. No, let's put it right there. There. That's efficiency. And let's get a road to the gatherer's hut. And across there. And then let's put a path like that. And let's see, a couple of production buildings. I'm trying to think what all we need here. We got, I think, pretty much everything that we want. For now, that is, mind you. And then in terms of removal resources, let's get all this stuff out of there. Just everything around here. Let's just remove most of this. We'll get research of the fisherman's hut started. We'll zoom in and we will begin at speed 5. So gives me to get these houses up and get things done. And while we're at it, let's get another house going. Because it can't hurt to have another one. So, especially if we end up needing 6, as I can't remember. You guys probably could look. You guys are probably thinking, look back at the previous video, you foolish person, and see what it is. But and I will eventually. Oh, we need to assign jobs. What am I thinking? So anyway, so we got all this going on. Looks like the housing shortage is going to be solved very soon. Yeah, it is solved. In fact, that house is not even occupied right now. So installation, what does that cost? Okay. I would like to get some lumber. Let's up the priority on the depot. We want to get that built as soon as possible as well. So because I want to get that quarry researched, but as soon as possible. But you know what? If they're not going to do that, let's go with that path, with the cleared path research first. No firewood in stock. Well, that will be solved momentarily. Let's get somebody working in the sawmill as quick as possible. And so we got resources coming up here. Let's slow it down a little bit briefly. And let's see about getting some fishermen out fishing. There we go. Got that happening. And let's get a road. Yeah. Anyways, let's get a road going on. So down here. And that research, I believe, is done. So let's get the quarry researching. And let's make sure that we have the resource gathering in full swing. In other words, make sure that we're still grabbing everything that we can. Get some more mining done, and impromptu mining, mind you. Okay, so with that gone, we should be able to get a semblance of a road going on here. Thank you, King. You are too kind. So, got that path going on. And let's see here. Oopsies. Jobs. Gatherers. I knew we had that hut done. Let's get the large baskets done. And we are well on our way, everyone, to making a good little town here. So let's speed it up a little bit. Research of the quarry is done, and the mine is what we want to get next. Like I said, you want to power up the toolsmith quickly. Um, for two reasons. One, you're going to need tools eventually. I mean, you don't run out of tools quickly here, I mean, by all means. But you want to power up the tools quickly for two reasons. One, so you don't run out of tools, so you can make them. And two, excuse me, in the trading aspect of the thing, because tools are very valuable when you are trading. Let's go with sturdiness so they can increase production. So, as we move on here, because tools can get you so much money in this game. So, tools are something that you probably want to invest in looking into getting, and such. Let's get a hunting lodge when we have a moment here. So tools are something that you want to look into getting because tools can become very valuable in the long run. Um, and we're gonna build that house while we have time. So tools are something that you want to look into getting in the long run because they're very valuable in the trade aspect of the game. And if you can trade, let's say for the hunting lodge, and so if you can trade, if you can get a lot of tools and a lot of excess tools, you can trade a lot of excess tools and such, and you can make a lot of money that way. I was looking around on some of the Discord and the group chat for this game, and something I noticed, which I did not understand why, is a lot of people have been complaining that they get to like year 3 or 4 and they have like 40 people or something, or 20 people, whatever, and or they don't get to year 3 or 4 because everyone dies of starvation, and which I thought was interesting considering that, not to sound proud, but I never have that problem. I've always had plenty of food for my people, so I don't know. And I checked, what I was playing, make sure I wasn't on easy mode or anything like that. So I'm not sure what exactly it is, and I didn't really think I did anything special for food. I mean, I routinely have a good mix of food buildings to start with. Maybe that's why it is. I don't know what it is but this has always been a bit of a, just to open up a little bit here. This has always been a bit of something that is my motif. I'll have friends that are in games that are like, man, all my people starve. Like, you know what that's like, right? It's like so hard. And I'm just thinking, actually, I have no idea what that's like because I never have that issue in these games. I always have, um, more than enough food to feed everybody and then some. Like, they'll be like, gosh, I hope I don't get immigrants. I'm thinking I need immigrants for my workforce, and they're like, yeah, but what about like feeding them? And I'm thinking, what about feeding them? I mean, that's not a problem that they go, well, aren't you worried about that problem? I'm going, not really. I don't have that problem. you know. I mean, if I did, I guess I would understand, but I don't. Um, so that's just something to think about there. Um, if as you look at this game and at the possibility of immersing yourself in it, that apparently there are food issues, but if that's something you excel at, or if it's something you think that you'd be okay at, because it is essential in a city management game that you have enough food to feed everybody. So there is that to think about. Um, as we build the hunting lodge up here at warp speed, um, so that people can have a pretty, um, I guess, normal diet. One thing I've noticed in this game, one thing I've noticed in particular games, um, at least in this game, I have another song that I play in my off time, so to speak, in my own time. And I've noticed that city, I don't really have that big of an issue. It's about 50 people at this point. I think I'm in year 6 or so, or year 7. I'm not sure. And so I have 50 people. I was looking at the other day. I took stock of how many people I had and certain things like that. I didn't take stock though of um of like what year it was or so. But I took stock. I had about 50 people, and I have about 17 people out of those 50 completely devoted to food production. And even there, within that subset of people, only 14 of them or 13 of them essentially are doing direct food production. In other words, 13 of them are making things that can be eaten the minute that they're made. Because I have two people doing wheat. No, it's not even 13. It's 12 people. I have two people doing wheat. I have one person in the mill, and then I have two people baking. So that's five people who aren't actually producing, So the baker is the only guy who produces the food that eventually, is the only guy who produces the food that you can eventually eat because the wheat goes to the mill, is grinded up, and then sent to the baker. So essentially, in the end, you only have, you essentially in the end, all those processes, the bread comes out much later on in the process. So people are eating, they're eating, because I have a gather, I have ice fishing, I have, well, the ice fishing is the reason something you research for the fishermen. So in the winter, I have ice fishing. But I have fishermen, I have hunters, I have gatherers, I have farmers, and things like that. But and I have somebody doing an orchard, but and I don't have a herdsman. So, but in the end, out of 50 people, only 17 people are tasked with full time production of food. Excuse me. Don't know what's something's caught my throat. But what I was saying is, in the end, there's only 17 people tasked you know, with their lives devoted to actually looking at food, and farmers in the off season help carry and build things and chop things down. But what I'm saying is, that with all those people tasked with food, and I have tons of food. In fact, I have too much food. That I actually trade away some of the food and such. And the orchard food isn't what's produced from the orchard isn't going directly to people eating it, because some of it is going to the distillery to make alcohol and wines. So even then, the orchard is only maybe providing half of its crop as food. But I always have an excess of tons of food, and I do not know what it is. Over here, I usually have over 1,000. And so, like I was saying, there people are going, oh my man, my village is starving. I have 20 people, and 10 of them are on food, and they're still starving. And I'm thinking, yeah, half your population tasked with food, which is impressive. But I don't even have half that much, and I have it's 5 times as many people as you do, and I've only tasked seven more, and not all of them are producing food that you can eat directly. And I'm not only am I not having problems, heck, the problem I'm having is having too much food, so I trade some of it away. So there is that to think about. It's very interesting in the regard that people have so many problems, and here I am gonna grab Toolsmith the minute that I get 100. Got it. Let's research Toolsmith. And so now we're at a 1065 range of people. Um, if you remember in the last video on the summit, we had some people grow up pretty quickly. But usually your next batch of people who are looking to immigrate comes in around March or April, which is why it's good when you have all these resources and people working at the beginning before you parse them off to different jobs. It's why it's good to get houses put down and available, and then it's also good to insulate the houses that are occupied. Um, while you have some moments before you get an influx of people. It's good to make sure the people that you do have around are warm, so to speak, as it gets colder. And I hope you all keep yourselves safe. I know I went out to my car today, early this morning to go and just ice. My windshield had ice, and I didn't have a scraper because um, years ago when I had sold my first car, I had included the scraper, the jumper, and the jumper cables. I included some essentials with it. Mainly because the person buying the car, it was a learning car for their daughter, and so I felt, when they called me and said, hey, they'd like to look at the car for learning car for their daughter, I felt that it would be that, as being a good person, I should include these things with it, because I wasn't going to have a car for a while. And the reasons I was selling my car um, were because I was leaving the country for a while, so for at least 2 years, so I didn't need the car. So I was selling the car, and and when she said, "Oh yeah, it's for my daughter to learn how to drive," I thought, well, if she's going to learn how to drive, I don't want her to be, to find herself stuck somewhere or something. So I'm gonna, I was already including the jumper cables with the car, but I thought, oh, I'll throw the ice scraper in too. So I got went to my so forgot about it. Went out to my car this morning, and ice. Luckily, though, I just flipped the heater on high, waited about 5 minutes, and was able to wipe the was basically able to defrost the car to a point and be on my way. But but like I said, in a roundabout way, insulating these houses so that your villagers don't get cold because it does get cold, especially in the temperate climates. You're in that dry map and you saw it only ever got down to about -2 Celsius, and while that's cold and below freezing, it's not necessarily that bad. This morning, here where I live, it was definitely below that, and such. So treasury empty. I know. Don't worry about it. So here in this game, in the temperate climate at least, it usually gets pretty cold, and and I'm hoping, since we didn't see it in the dry climate, I'm hoping that you'll see some snow here before long. Because that's always something, and it's always interesting to look how city builders, especially, do snow, with weather. Some games really kind of, it's an afterthought. So, the snow is like, it just kind of appears, or it's okay. Um, I'll tell you, the snow really well though is The Sims. The Sims games, through the years, as they've expanded, and the fact that they make like 50 expansion packs for every single iteration of the game. Um, and with Sims 4, they decided, well, we're going to make we're going to make a bunch of expansion packs, and then some game packs, and then game kits, and all these things. And admittedly, I bought most of it because I enjoy The Sims, but I do like their seasons expansion where you have weather coming out. They do a pretty good job with weather, but most city builders you do a pretty good job with weather. Banish has really really pretty weather. It's just beautiful. The way that the weather is done there. Banish is a very pretty game, and I enjoy Banished. And I have Banished, and I played Banished. I don't even want to think how many hours I have a Banished on my account. I remember I got Banished like the minute I could. I didn't even know it was like a thing, and I hadn't played very many city builders, but something inside of me when I played Banished like awoke or something. Um, and I think it's because in the end, when I think about it, when I really think about it and look back at it, I'm like thinking, yeah, actually I did play those city builders back then, SimCity and Roller Coaster Tycoon, and management games like that, where you're not necessarily managing a city in those tycoon games, but you're managing a company, and so there's that management type of game style, thing that you get going, and something like that. So there is that to think about um, as you go forward. And let's take a look at, um, uh, well, research actually should be something we should take a look at. Yeah. So, anyways, treasury's empty again. But the point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to management games, there's always those things if you see how well they do things. And Sims 4, the Sims could be said it's a bit of a management game too. Although playing Sims doesn't seem like you're doing much managing, is more as helping lead lives. But Sims is useful in the terms that it will teach you a little bit about budgeting and about household management, household and skills and things like that. But at the same time, it's an entertaining game, and it's got that tongue-in-cheek humor. Just look at the language they speak. It's definitely not English. It's Simlish apparently, and things like that, so to speak. So there is that. And there's another game made by one guy. Well, he has some more people now working with it, but for a while it was this one dude in the Ukraine, Yemli, and it's called Ostriv. And Ostriv was a game that a friend of mine, he told me about it. He hadn't played it, but he said that he just noticed a little thing about it. So I jumped in when there's the snow. So I jumped in when the guy was just starting to talk about it, and I was there from the start, and it got a Steam key and everything, and I have that game at all. And what I like about Ostriv is a city builder too, but it takes place, like, it has an actual date, and I don't know if it's more of a cultural thing, or a time period, or maybe a little bit of both. That in that game, only men are pretty much the only people who can work. There are certain jobs that you can assign to women, but most of the jobs are assigned to men. You can't even assign women like, and we're talking like the hard labor jobs, like making thatching. You can assign a woman to that. And I enjoy the game Ostriv. The Ostriv is very good because when they're building things, you don't just see them carry resources and lay them down. All of a sudden, and then they hammer at the ground. All of a sudden, there's a foundation. You actually see them placing up pillars in the buildings and hammering things. And nails are actually a resource that you have to make sure you have enough of. So it's really crazy, um, in the sense that it's amazingly complex. But it's not as much supply chaining as, say, a game like Patron is. So you see, we're here in December. It's freezing, but it snowed already. Now it's -2. So you see the snow, and the snow effects, I think, in this game are beautiful. You can see the water is still flowing a little bit, but boy, does it, yeah, looks so pretty. And with winter coming up, this really makes you yearn for Christmas. But anyways, let's take a look at research and do decorative hedge. Yeah, so this is what we're looking at right now, in terms of things. This is where you might actually want to use some of that treasure to do some installation work on some of the extra houses, and then take a look at, you know, um, so like, for example, do that, and then go here and take a look at that. So decorative hedge is done. Can we actually do large baskets level 2? We can. Um, so yeah, it's a good idea when you have extra money, you're not using a lot of your money, you have downtime like we do right now, where we're waiting for more people to show up and build things, and to build things too. And since you're trying to build money, but you have a little bit extra, it's not bad to use some upgrades to get some things going on, so to speak, because um, and such, and just to get things kind of, I guess working, to a certain point. So there's that, and um, when you have a mountain or kind of mining near you, because it's right there, um, and it's right here too, you can sometimes get away with, kind of not mining right away. Can't, yeah. Let's get these rocks, um, out of the way, um, and so you can kind of get away with it sometimes, um, not mining right off the bat. And sometimes when there's something like this, you'll have good quarry, you get a good amount of quarry, or so to speak. But the mountain is clearly not far away as the summit was. It's just right over here. And so this is the type of, map where you might want to build towards it. But this type of placement of the town center, in relation to resources, like right over here, is one reason why the manual town center, hello boat, why the manual town center, placement of the town center is a thing. Is that one boat or three boats? One boat, okay. Um, oh yeah, there's your immigrants. So, anyways, and I think they drop them off, and I think then they walk here. I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't really check on the boat, to be all that much. I don't know if when they're dropped off they become members, or if they have to arrive. I'm not sure if the boat even drops them off. That boat, might just be sailing around. Um, but this is an idea that you're kind of a new settlement, and you're not necessarily nearby. So, you're not a new world necessarily, but kind of in the new world in a sense. -5, -4 Celsius. But yeah, so it's not that far away. But this is, but in relation to where it is and the way you're building your town, the reason manual town centers are such a placement town centers are such a big thing, um, and I would have to agree with him on this case, is that it kind of forces you to build your town a particular way, because because you go, oh, there's a great forest over here. I want to place things there, because of efficiency ratings. And you're going, yeah, but that way is like this resource, and there's like there's like a stream that way, and then I have to go build through the stream. So I guess I can't build my things over there because we have to bulldoze most of the streets, going to build houses along that route, etc. Things like that. One thing leads to another, and then you're at that point where you're not, being able to do that. So that's what the next update is coming to, and that's where you could maybe place your town center a little bit more closer, in a kind of more of a central location. Not that the fixed placement is not a central location, but sometimes it doesn't place you very well, and it's always the same place. Whereas manual town centers could really make the game unique in certain ways, especially if you were gonna do a playthrough, which I might try this playthrough. It'd be interesting to do a playthrough where basically you make every single building you make, even including food. You know, initially, you do the standard thing, but eventually you destroy building. You make everything. You make your town basically a industrial trading haven. Everything in your town, you don't produce anything raw. Everything that you produce here is with the exception of maybe firewood, is like is processed. So like, you trade for iron and stone and coal and planks to make everything. So like your town is basically dependent apparently completely on trading, but the way you trade is by trading produced goods from your toolsmith or your sawmill or your like tailor shop or something like that. But all the raw goods are traded for. That'd be something that it'd be interesting to think could be quite a challenge. It'd probably take quite a while to do, but you could eventually probably get to the point where your town is basically just a industrial um, goods making machine, and that's how you do it. You trade for food that way too. And as you can see right up there, now it says 12, and no one grew up. So we have two more people living here, and actually let's go like this. So they're living in that house. So as you see, we have more workers now, and it's right there. And actually, we need another carrier. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna keep this here, and I don't know if I'll come back this time. I might not. Um, uh, oh, thank you. Um, anyway, so when the next update comes out, I'll be back to show it to you guys. So until the next time and the update, this is um, uh, I'm not gonna just stop and go silent. There'll be other games other than Patron showing up. But in terms of Patron, the next time you see me, there'll be an update. So until next time, this is Rustler signing off.